Thank you so much for joining the first ever live stream FeetUp Q&A from sunny Romania, Iași to be exact. For all of you who were able to come in a bit early and listen to our music, we are so thankful that you enjoyed it. I'm super excited to be able to be here and give you guys some live time to practice alongside me and then ask some questions about anything you might have. And then in general, I would just love to be able to be here to support your practice, whoever, wherever, whyever, or whatever you are doing in your life. So just to begin, I want to say thank you so much to the huge amount of people behind the scenes making this happen. I'm super thankful for everyone being technically advanced in a way that I am not, so they can allow us just to have this great opportunity to do this. I also want to thank you all for joining in, and I also want to just say we're figuring it out as much as you guys are, so please, by all means, if you have any questions that don't get answered or that come up during this, but you still want to ask more, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can send us a message via Facebook or Instagram or to our website or whatever. We're pretty easy to find. All you got to do is just ask a question. Okay, that being said, this is what's going to happen. The first thing we're going to go on is I'm going to do a live tutorial on how to use a FeetUp Trainer, perhaps for your first time, perhaps for your first inversion, but at least from the perspective in the background that we're not trying to do something perfect. We're not trying to make something look good. We are trying to understand how to make your first inversion or the next inversion that you do feel absolutely fantastic. Now, bear in mind that we are all different people. We all have different body types. We all have different stories. We all have different sizes, shapes, colors, practices. We all have different tastes. So individual results may vary. This is 100% true, but there is one thing that we all have control over, and that is the speed that we give ourselves the time to just be able to do this stuff. So at no point should you feel rushed. At no point should you try to keep up with me. In fact, the cool thing about this being a digital demo is that you are more than welcome to just watch it and then watch it later after you've kind of understood what's going on. So having a FeetUp would certainly help. That being said, make sure you put your feet up somewhere in your room that you have enough space. So the first thing about doing a safe inversion is really understanding your environment. Now, we know this environment very well. I made a lot of space, so I have space to move. At home, make sure that you have the same thing. If you are by yourself and you feel that you want to have more support, we highly suggest that you take a FeetUp Trainer or your FeetUp Trainer and you put it against a wall. So the back legs over here are against the wall, so there's no chance that it would slide or anything or adjust, A. And B, when you finally do get up on the trainer, having a wall here is awesome because you don't feel any fear about going back farther than you need to. Again, we're not trying to go so fast that that might happen, but it's really nice to have that extra support of a wall being right there. This being said, if you don't have a wall, you don't want a wall, or for whatever reason that's not possible, it's totally cool. I'm not going to ask you just to throw yourself into this. In fact, I'm going to ask you to kind of get in slow as you would perhaps a hot bathtub. So let's talk about a hot bath. First thing you want to work on when you get in front of your trainer is just being able to start warming your own body up comfortably. So take your hands to the top of the frame, and from here just have the shoulders over the wrists through the elbows, and just take some time to inhale and exhale and just pour weight down through the trainer. Now, whether this is your first time doing it or your 100th time doing it, it's nice to start to get a feel just to how you can pour weight and use the frame of the trainer to support movement. So inhale long, exhale deep. And then even here, you're going to find that taking weight and pouring down, as you see I'm pouring down shoulders through the wrist, through the frame, is that it feels very solid this way. Now, if I start putting weight from the side to the side, you'll see that the trainer itself becomes the lift up, and this is a good thing to know because really all you want to do is be mindful where you put your weight is where it goes. So as you pour your weight forward, see how I'm leaning my weight over my wrist, weight goes down through the trainer. Okay. Secondly, now once you feel like you've had the trainer nice and solid, think about being able to bring your shoulders to the cushions. And now I want to just kind of punch in a bit on this one. I'm just going to point it out. When you bring your shoulders to the cushion right here, you want your shoulders more towards the front of the cushion, right? if you put your shoulders so far back that your neck gets put into the curve of the cushion, it could be uncomfortable in the beginning, but over time, just there's some pinching and there's there's a lack of space. So we suggest that you have the shoulders closer to the front of the cushion so that you don't feel any connection of the skin of your neck on the back of the cushion, and it just gives you a nice opportunity to feel completely unrestricted. Obviously, what we're trying to create is a nice long feeling in the neck, and if your neck feels constricted, then what's the point of doing this? So when you bring your shoulders to the cushion and your hands want to stay on the frame, you're going to take your shoulders, put the head right through. It's very possible that you don't have two microphones hooked onto you. I get it. It's okay. So make sure you don't get your microphones hooked up if you do. And then once you get your shoulders on the cushion here, you can take your hands and keep them on the trainer and hug your elbows in towards the sides of the ribs. So basically what you're doing right here, it's like a very supported child's pose. And depending on where the weight of your body is, you might feel your collarbones being filled in by the edge of the cushion. And that's okay. If you're not very happy with that, you can kind of slide the shoulders back a bit towards the back of the cushion, but again, make sure your neck feels happy and free. And then once you're here, just draw a few circles with your nose, very small ones, maybe 3 or 4 circles in one direction and 3 or 4 circles in the other. This is just to help the head relax, the neck relax. And while this is happening, remember, keep the elbows hugged in towards the ribs, the hands on the top of the frame of the trainer. And for the sake of conversation, before we even go anywhere else, I'd like to come out of this easily. So we're keeping the hands on the trainer, start sitting the tailbone back towards the heels, keeping the tailbone low, lift the shoulders above the hips, and then the last thing you do is lift the head. Now, I want to be very clear about this. As slow as we're going to work on bringing ourselves into the trainer, as slow as we're going to work on coming up into our first inversion, I really also want you to remember that you should not celebrate before your feet and you're back on the ground and your head is above your shoulders. So first thing you want to do is do the thing you want to do. The second thing you want to do is come out of it. And the third thing you want to do is take that break. Now, the ability to stack your head above your shoulders smartly and with control is going to help you feel a lot better in your head and your breathing. It's going to help you feel a lot better going back in, and it's going to be a nice opportunity for you just to take a moment to reset between each cycle. Okay, now that we've done that, I'll talk you through on the next round. Bring your hands to the top of the frame of the trainer. Bring your shoulders to the cushion. Find that supported child's pose right here with the hands staying on the frame. Tuck your toes and lift your hips by extending your legs. Now this is a supported downward facing dog. And what you're going to find here with the hands on the trainer, depending on how open your hips are, depending on how open your hamstrings are, your feet might be able to walk pretty close. Your feet might have to go wide. You might even have to bend your knees. So this is your first, we'll say, fully supported inversion, but still an active supported inversion. So let the head start to relax, let the neck lengthen. If you need to make small adjustments in the shoulders or in the collarbones, please do. And for those of you who've been here before, how can you make it feel different? Or how can you look into your body or into this position in a way that it feels new? Maybe you've been here for 2 or 3 breaths and you're starting to feel like it's been enough time, you want to come down. So let's all start doing that together. Step your feet closer towards each other. Start lowering your knees, keeping your head low. Once the knees touch the ground, drop your tailbone to your heels, and then slowly stack your shoulders over your hips, and then slowly lift the gaze forward as the head lifts. You're giving your brain time to let the blood go back into the body. You're giving your heart time to start accepting a little extra pressure. So what you're doing is you're giving yourself this opportunity to go slow, to breathe, and to reset the body. So we did our supported child's pose. We did our supported downward facing dog. Let's do a supported downward facing dog variation. Hands to the top of the trainer, shoulders to the cushion, head goes through the cushion. Let's meet there. Once the toes tuck and the legs begin to extend, see how close you can walk your feet in towards your face. Now, again, I'll say it before, I'll say it again. The first time you do this, you might not get it that close. The first time you do this, it might be farther away. Don't worry about it. The idea here is you're simply trying to see how close you can. Now, when the feet start coming closer to the cushion, to the frame of the trainer, you might be able to bend the knees a bit, extend the legs a little bit. You might be able to kind of rock the hips from side to side slowly, but it's less about moving the head and neck and more about finding length. So use the hands on the frame of the trainer to stay supported and solid in this. Now you might step your left foot to the center of the mat and then bend your right knee so the heel comes to the butt.
Keep the heel by the butt and just kind of have this half tuck position. This might be very interesting. This might be new for you. What you're trying to do is simply get comfortable with being able to move with one leg lifted. And then slowly lower the leg you just lifted, lower that right foot, put it back to the ground, center the right foot, bend the left knee so the heel comes to the butt. And then just be here in this little lifted single-legged tuck. Breath in, breath out. Now for some of you, you're getting tired, start putting both feet down, come down to seated. For others, you might go back and forth a few times. For me, I'm actually going to come back down. So after I've done those single-legged tucks, I let the feet come back down, I lower the knees, I sit the tailbone back, I raise the shoulders, and only once the shoulders are raised do I begin to gaze forward, breathe gently and easily, and then raise my head fully. Take it from a guy who goes, lowers his head, raises his head, lowers his head, raises his head, lowers his head, raises his head so many times and has to talk the whole experience. Listen to me when I say the best way to come out of an inversion is slow, gentle, and easy. Keep that in mind because it also happens to be the best way to go into an inversion as well. So here we go, back to the supported downward facing dog. Hands to the frame of the trainer, shoulders to the cushion. Start to lift the hips as the leg extend. Walk the feet in. Now at first you might just be watching this progression, not practicing alongside, but eventually when it's time, you're going to figure out, okay, it's time to hop up. With the hands on the frame of the trainer, you can work by bending both knees as deeply as you can towards the crossbar that you're looking at, and then extend the legs a bit longer. So you're going to do this 2 times. Bend the knees, extend the legs. Now as you bend the knees, you can think that you want to hop, and as you hop the feet up, you want to push down through the frame of the trainer to lift your hips over your shoulders and your knees into your chest. So maybe watch first. Lower the knees, extend the legs, and then hop the heels to the butt. Now, if this is your first time and you're like, okay, I'm just going to watch before I do it, check this out. If you have the wall back here, it's pretty solid. If you go too far, the wall will stop you. You bring your feet back down. You tried. Now, if you're still having trouble hopping up, that's okay. It's your first time. No big deal. For those of you who got up here and you're like, oh my God, I'm holding it. Great. Maybe it's time to come down. So when it's time to come down, hands to the frame of the trainer, extend the legs long, let the feet lower back down to the ground. You might hop, you might bounce a bit. Before you just flop the head up, drop the knees, sit back towards the heels, take an inhale and an exhale, raise the shoulders, then the gaze, then the face. Okay. Let's go over hopping in a couple times. So again, watch me first and then maybe try at home, slow, gentle, and easy. Even though we're going to be doing some hops, it's not about kicking up and trying to hold. It's simply about trying to use momentum to go in and come out. So as you're hopping in and back, don't worry about sticking it the first time. Hop and then try to control the movement down. Hop, try to control the movement down. Maybe you can try to control the hop up and then pause and then control the movement down. So I'll show you how that all looks. Hands to the frames, shoulder to the cushions. Downward facing dog supported. Now you might get a couple bounces. Then even here, you're kind of doing some bunny hops, right? You can see how my legs are staying low. And then maybe next time you do a bunny hop, you kick your heels to your butt and that helps you bring your knees to your chest like, boom. Cool, you're just figuring it out, you're figuring it out. And then maybe you're able to hop and let the hips hang back. And letting the hips hang back, maybe you have to hold on to the frame of the trainer so you don't feel like you fall. Okay, so you made it up. Notice I'm not telling you to extend your legs long. If I ask you to extend your legs long, it'd be, putting the cart before the horse. Let's get you inverted first. Hips over shoulders, over head. Now, for those of you who might be in the tuck position, you feel like you want to hang out, bring your knees to your elbows. Don't worry about how it looks. Just bring awareness to how it feels. Now, for those of you who've been up here enough and you're like, cool, I want to come down. First, maybe you let the head relax a bit so the neck is long, and then slowly let the feet down, the tailbone down, the knees down. Remember, sit back, raise the shoulders, lift the gaze, breathe in and breathe out. Okay. Let's take a pause from doing our first inversion to answer a couple questions. Now, a lot of you guys have asked, so Daniel, or FeetUp, or dear you guys, sometimes when I practice my inversions, my face gets red, or my eyes get bloodshot, or I get a little lightheaded, or I feel a little discomfort. Why is that, and how can I stop that? This is a very great question. First thing to remember is that just because you can do an inversion easier on the FeetUp Trainer doesn't mean you should without thinking about going from 0 to 60, 0 to inversion
like that. So if you don't normally do inversions, going up and hopping up into inversion and spending 30 seconds or a minute, this is where it gets, dare I say, a little challenging. And this is on the responsibility of the user is to go slow. So maybe you can get up and you spend 5 seconds, 5 breaths, and you come back down. Great. You do it again, you spend 5 seconds or 5 breaths and you come back down. If it's your first time doing it, call it a day. Don't force yourself to be doing an inversion for longer than necessary. It might feel really good when you're up there, but then when you come down, things get weird. So to this point, if you are getting a little lightheaded, if you are getting really bloodshot eyes or red face or anything like that, there's a chance, and I can't diagnose you, but I know I have low blood pressure. So for me, I get really lightheaded unless I'm very smart about coming up slowly. So this tip of learning how to keep the head low as you stack from the ground up and breathe is a great way to stay grounded and stay relaxed when you come out of your inversions. It's also a great way to take a break when you're between inversions. Another question that comes up a lot, okay, so I don't normally do this, so what's an appropriate amount of time, or how long should I go when I'm first starting out? These are great questions. I can't tell you the appropriate amount of time because individual results may vary. People are different. That being said, when you're starting anything out, of course, after consulting with people that you trust and like really making sure this is the right thing for you, we suggest that you just simply go up, you take a long, slow, deep breath, and then you come back down. Take a few moments, take a minute or two, think about the feeling, and then next time when you go up, maybe you take 2 deep breaths, and then you come back down. Now, maybe that's enough for the day, maybe that you can do that for the morning and then they come back in the afternoon. The most important thing to think about when anyone's starting a new inversion practice is not about how long or how many, it's about how clear are you about the feeling that you have. Do you know what you're doing every time you do it? Are you just hopping up and like, woo, celebrating? So that's why I say celebrate afterwards. Enjoy during, but celebrate afterwards. So when you go up, don't lose focus, listen to your body, listen to your breath, come down. When you finally sit up, think, I think that's good for the day. Great. If you've done 1 inversion today and you didn't do any yesterday, that's 1 better than you did. Maybe tomorrow you still do just 1. Maybe a week later you start doing 2 inversions. We want you guys to feel 100% able to do the things that you want to do, but we also want you to know that you guys have to be very mindful about what's right for you in your body, in your practice. So by all means, feel free to ask about your individual experience when it comes up, and we'll do our best to answer it. But a blanket statement is, for the question, how long should I stay up, or how can I build more tolerance, is simply about go slow, go 1 step at a time, and just simply listen to yourself. This is going to be the best place for safety. I know we got a little serious right there, but it's real. I'm very serious about the inversions here. So I want to show you guys, going back to the inversions, the first inversion is if you're having trouble hopping up, if you're having trouble getting the knees up or coming into the tuck, I want to show you something you can work on, an exercise. It's going to help you kind of scissor kick your way in. So maybe watch first and then try at home. Bring your shoulders to the cushion. Come into the supported downward facing dog. Okay. Now I'm going to raise my right leg, heel to butt, knee towards the chest. And then I'm going to do is I'm going to take this right leg and I'm going to extend it long, parallel to the ground. While this is happening, that bottom left leg, I'm going to bend that knee and I'm going to extend that knee. If you look at the camera, if you look at the screen, that is, I bend the left knee, the right leg goes down, I extend the left leg, the right leg comes up. So I can use this to kind of start getting some little movement, but then instead of lifting this other leg up, when the bottom left leg bends and extends, draw this right knee into your chest. Watch this. Left leg bends, and then I extend it and draw the right knee into the chest. So I'm drawing my knee into my chest, both knees into my chest at the same time. This gives me a little momentum to help my hips get up. Now, if you feel like you're going too far, look at my hands. Like, take a little close look at the hands. In the beginning, my base of my palms are on the frame of the trainer. My fingers are under the trainer, and I can hook on. So if I go too far, I just hold on. Now, let's also look at my neck position. This is another great question. Daniel, feet up, you guys, how should the head be? I see pictures on Instagram. I see pictures all over the place of people lifting their chin, tucking their chin, turning their head. Awesome question.
Let's come down to answer it. I'm going to lower my feet. I'm going to lower my knees. I'm going to raise my shoulders while keeping my gaze low. Once my shoulders stack, I take a breath in. I raise the gaze. I lift the eyes. I look forward. I don't pass out. My eyes feel okay. Maybe my lips are a little purple. You guys will tell me later. Okay, talking about head position. I'm just going to be here in a neutral position. My eyes are going forward. These are my eyes. This is my head. This is my shoulders. This is my hips. I look forward. Now, if I lift my chin, you can see the back of my head drops a bit. My shoulders broaden. Heck, I personally feel this in my lower back. When my chin lifts, my tailbone tilts back. Now, when I tuck my chin, I look back to neutral, but when I tuck my chin fully, I feel my core body activating. I feel here my tailbone pointing forward, so I'm rounding, right? So when the chin lifts, the tailbone lifts. And when the chin tucks, the tailbone tucks. Okay? Let's do another exercise, and you can follow along at home with this one. Come onto your trainer, or onto hands and knees if you're just watching because you're interested, to tabletop position. Now you'll see my shoulders are over my elbows, my hips are more or less over my knees. As I lift my chin and I lift my tailbone, I find cow position, right? You see like the chin lift, tailbone lift? And then I start tucking my chin, and then the natural progression is sort of tucking the tailbone. That's a cat position, right? So this lifting of the chin, lifting of the tailbone, tucking of the chin, tucking of the tailbone creates movement in the spine. But when the eyes are neutral, when the gaze is neutral, and the eyes, the chest, and the hips are all pointing in the same direction, you have a neutral spine, and your spine is long. Now, watch this when I go into my floating tuck, my gift pose, right? Whoop. Now, with keeping the neck relaxed, my eyes are gazing. You hear that? That's the crossbar. That's the traverse, right? So my eyes are gazing at the wall right in front of me. Now, that's because my neck is neutral. Now, if I lift my chin, right, if you look closely, if I lift my chin, I can almost pick my head and touch the back of the frame. I personally think it's really uncomfortable to do that. I'm not trying to look at the ground because guess what? I know where the ground is. It's right there. I can even see some ground over there. I see it to the side. I see it to the side. I don't need to look at the ground because I feel the ground through the frame of the trainer. I have my hands on the trainer. I'm feeling pretty solid. Now, if I tuck my chin, and if you notice, it's like my butt kind of hangs back a bit. My knees kind of roll in. Now, again, I feel very comfortable up here because I spend a lot of time, but when my chin tucks, I'm losing sight of the ground. This is where I get a little crazy. So what I recommend to you is just do your best, is to keep the neck long, the gaze long towards the wall that you're looking at. Keep the neck soft, or the shoulders soft, and just give yourself some time to find a neutral spine, because check this stuff out, guys. As I raise my legs up, with my eyes gazing forward, my elbows hugging in, my navel's drawing in, I more or less have a pretty good line. But if I lift my chin, look, my tailbone starts to drop back. I don't like it. I tuck my chin, I bring it back to neutral. I tuck my chin, I'm looking up. You see I go back. You see it kind of like my hips. I had to really fight it. Bring it back in, knees back to the chest, feet down to the ground. Check this slow jams out here. I'm going to come to standing, but watch this. I drop my heels. I stay into a forward fold. The hand stays on the frame of the trainer. See how my head is low, about as low as my heart. I wait 2 or 3 breaths before I feel like I got this, and then I bend my knees to my elbows. Gives me a chance to kind of like make a little space, and then I come to standing. Whew. Take a breath. I get it. Listen, sometimes we want to just do the thing we want to do, and that thing is be inverted. But an inversion is not, well, let's take it back. What do you think an inversion is? An inversion is when your head goes below your heart, at least from a movement term, right? So forward fold, downward facing dog, perhaps even child's pose, depending if your child's pose is the way it is. Anytime the head goes below the heart, congratulations, you've made an inversion. Now, it's those fun inversions that the headstand, the handstand, the forearm stand, the stand stands, they're great, super great. But the thing is, they require a lot of effort to keep your body in a safe way. The reason this FeetUp Trainer is really neat is because you can have all of the benefits of a headstand without any of the compression on the spine or the head. So if you take out the guesswork or the safety issue of doing an unsupported headstand or inversion, and you do this on the FeetUp Trainer, it's pretty comfortable. But then also take into consideration that you don't have to have your legs straight to be inverted. In fact, you saw for the most part, I was staying in a tuck position.
Staying in a tuck position is a great way to take all of the extra guesswork of trying to find balance. When you have your knees into your chest, you're finding a tighter center of gravity, you're lower to the ground, center of mass is keeping you nice and supported over the trainer. So the moment you bring your legs up, then you start getting shaky. So maybe your first few inversions, don't bring your legs up all the way, just bring them into your chest. That being said, we've talked about getting into your first inversion. We've talked about different positions of the neck. We've talked about how to come out of an inversion, super very important. We've talked about how going slow is going to be very valuable to creating your practice and also listening to yourself. And then you also saw that when my neck moved, my hips moved, you started to see a little of the body positioning. Well, this brings us to another really important part of this demo, of this tutorial, of this live stream Q&A. A lot of people ask the question, and we'll find out shortly if this answers it, but I'm going to paraphrase. How far is too far? Can this thing tip over? What happens if I just start tipping over something? What happens if my feet go over there? Like I don't know. Can this even hold me? Well, let me answer that last question first. Can this even hold you? Now, this morning, remember we're about 10 hours ahead of most people in the States, we decided to have a little fun, and we took the cushion off of the trainer and we stacked. Well, do we have that picture? Can we put that picture up on the screen? Now, if you're on Instagram, you should look at Facebook or YouTube later, or maybe we'll just post this picture. But maybe what you're going to see here is, there's a couple of them. Which one do you have up? The three guys? Okay, look, we have three guys sitting on a couch, sitting on two 80-pound slabs of birch butcher block on top of a FeetUp trainer. I can guarantee you that you are not as heavy as that. You might feel that heavy, and believe me, I know the day. I have that sometimes. But as far as weight is concerned, not a big deal. The next picture that we're showing is me sitting on a couch with four 5-gallon bottles of water, 6 stacked chairs, a potted plant, and a chicken. Yes, a chicken. And I'll tell you, that chicken wasn't that chicken, if you think about it, because that chicken really got up on that FeetUp trainer. Anyway, so to take the guesswork out of it, don't worry about this being able to support your weight. However, learning how to pour weight into it is the key of figuring out range of motion and what is safe, what is not safe, and then like everything in between. So let's talk about, well, let me dive into that. Let's not even talk about it. I'm just going to show you. So coming in for an inversion, I love starting my inversions in the tuck. So I'm going to go into that tuck position. I'm going to give myself some space in the legs. Perfect. Here I am in my tuck. Now from this tuck position, I can start leaning weight towards my hands, and my hips go towards the wall that I'm looking at. And now I got to use my weight a lot, I'm putting my strength in the arms, and I bring it back. Now when I take my weight away from my hands, I don't look up because I don't want to lose the ground. I remember where the ground is at all times. So I'll lift my chin, or I just look in my eyes, hook my fingers under the frame, and I lean back. So at home, you can try this, just finding little leaning forward and back. You're going to feel it in the core, you're going to feel it in the back body. Now, if you've never done an inversion before, this might be a lot your first time, so I can't tell you if it's right or wrong. You'll just have to feel it out. But I encourage you to not rush, because this will be here as long as you want. Now, when it comes time to figuring out leaning back, now you can see, let me get ready for a little bit of work. I have my knees into my chest. I have my fingers under the cushion, under the frame of the trainer. If I start leaning my tailbone really far back, I have to use my arms to pull up on the trainer because I can really hang it, right? And like my upper back is on the cushion, I'm tucking my tailbone, but my weight is way past the trainer, and look, the legs are on the ground. It's great. When it's time to come back up, boom. And let's just see how far forward I can drop my knees towards the ground without touching the ground. Now this is a lot of work, and do I recommend you do it as a beginner? No, but you can really play with being comfortable and confident. The ability that you use strength to move your weight. Now let's use less strength to move weight, but still have that balance. Now notice, I'm going to start extending my legs long. Now with my legs going long, as my legs go in one direction, my butt can go in the other, and I can actually find a lot more balance because I'm counterbalancing. As my weight goes towards my tailbone, my legs extend. And you can even see, what is he doing? He's actually pointing with the arms. Well, guess what? If you get really good or confident or comfortable or just go slow enough, you might be able to take your hands off the trainer and find a little floaty balance with these little toes and fingers. Now from here, I don't suggest you do it unless you try slowly at home,
But then you can start playing with going back into the tuck, making your adjustments, and then raising the legs up. Now, once you start raising your legs up, it gets a little, dare I say, crazier, because there's a lot more distance away from the ground. When my knees are tucked in, I'm not that far away from the ground, but when I raise my legs up, my ankles are very far from my shoulders, so the lever, right? The lever, this being the fulcrum, the connection point to where the weight's gonna move. As my feet move back, you can see there's a lot more distance from the shoulder to the foot, so there's a lot more weight pulling back on me, so I have to work a lot harder. So my movement forward and back is amplified with the legs long. Same idea that if I put my butt back and my feet forward, I tuck my chin, my range of motion goes in one direction, but I'm able to counterbalance it. And at the same time, if I lift my chin and let my feet go back, while this is possible, is it comfortable? Yeah, but I'm going slow. Let's come down for a second, because I'm human, just like you. Feet down to the ground, knees drop, tailbone sits, shoulders stack. Breath happens, eyes lift, face lifts. Face red, lips purple, eyes a tiny bit bloodshot. I get it, go slow. Okay. So as you can see, there's a lot of forward and back space that we can work with. That being said, we have designed the FeetUp Trainer to receive a front load for any movement that we're doing. So when you're coming in from the front or you're going over it, this is a very solid plane of movement. As you can see, there's a wide wheelbase from front to back, right? It's much wider than the front right here. So this wide wheelbase gives you a lot of space. You might put your hands here and your shoulders might go here, like your front of your shoulders go here, but when you're up, your shoulders are actually on the bigger part of the cushion that goes more down the wood. So you have a lot of stability coming in from the front. One thing we don't recommend is that while you can do wide-legged movements, we don't recommend you come in and out from the side because it's just not how this is designed to work. And there's no need. That's more of a project or like a pursuit that we don't think is necessary or safe in any inversion practice. Because again, the body's meant to move like this. The neck is meant to move forward and back, up and down, but not side to side. So we honored the body's physics and physiology by designing this, and we think you should too. Now, to be fair, it's important to show that, yes, of course, your legs can go wide. I'll actually turn towards the camera for this one. Is that when you come in, you're in your tuck, you're in your full, you can straddle. And you can do rotations. It's fantastic. There's a lot of space and there's a lot of movement. I feel very stable. What I don't want to try to do is move my hips past my shoulder. I'm not trying to make too much of a movement from side to side. And while you still can, it's not about how far. It's really about, is it necessary? It's not. But I just want to give you guys a warning. If you come in from the side, it's just not going to be as fun as if you really explore the weight and the stability of coming in from the front. This all leads up to a very important thing I kind of teased you on the commercial here, is how to do the backdrop walkover. Now, backdrop walkover is simply, well, it's two things. Here are two things it's not. It's not a drop, although it's a little bit of like trust required, and you're not really walking over. There's not like a step, but there is this ability that you're moving from the front to the back and maybe back to the front again. So for this to happen, right, got to go slow. And you got to figure it out. I'll tell you the steps that I work on, and then maybe you have something to work on for the next couple weeks. Who knows? Here goes. Come into your supported downward facing dog. Boom. Hop them knees to your chest, heels to the butt. Bam. Now, this is a very important place to start with. I wouldn't go from the walkover from legs up, because in order to get the feet down to the ground, you have to arch your back. I don't have a very good arch. I have an okay arch. So what I'm going to try to do is curl my back more. So with my knees to my chest, my hands on the trainer, my fingers wrapped under the frame of the trainer, I'm going to start getting comfortable and leaning back. Now here, my knees to my chest, most of my weight is over my chest, which means it's over the frame of the trainer. If I start lifting my knees and opening up, my weight's going to go back, and that's where that scary, shaky, oh my God, I might fall thing happens. And so we're going to try not to have the, oh my God, I'm going to fall. Now with the knees to the chest, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my left knee in towards my chest. That's going to keep much of my weight, my left leg weight, over my center of my body. But I can take my right leg, I'm going to straighten it, and I'm going to start leaning it back. Now, because of a couple factors. A, the openness of my hips, B, the tightness of my pants, I can't just let my leg all the way come down. I might tear my pants or tear a hamstring. Don't want to do that. But it gives me the ability to kind of get comfortable with being able to move this leg, the right leg while the left knee is kind of bent. So now, rebend that right foot, rebend the right knee, and then start with the left knee bent in. The right knee stays bent, but open the right thigh. And then you're going to start seeing the tailbone's going to go a bit farther. So guess what? Tuck your chin, lift the chin, and then reach back with your tailbone. Shoulders stay on the cushion. You can cross your ankle over your knee, or you can bring both feet down, and you can take a break and go, whew. That is essentially the backdrop part of the walkover. Now, the walkover part is actually when we step 1 feet and we're going to go back over. You go back the way we came. And is it possible? Yes. Can you do it? Most likely. Does it happen today? I don't know. Want to find out? I bet you do. Here it comes. From this position, whether you got here from walking, from backdropping or not, bring your shoulders to the cushion, knees bent, feet flat on the ground. Lift your hips in line with your knees and your shoulders. And once you have this all set up, you're going to reach your arms up and over to the top of the frame. Now with this, you can let the head drop a bit because you have nice support. Now, before I kept my left knee in my chest and my right leg did the movement, I'm going to try to do that again, but it's going to be a bit different. Now, I'm going to keep the left knee into the chest. My right foot has to stay on the ground, otherwise I fall. My right knee is bent, my right foot is on the ground. But instead of keeping the left knee bent, I'm going to straighten that left leg. I'm going to use the left leg to lift. This is where, one of the few times in practice that I talk about momentum. And that you want to use a little momentum. You need to use that moving leg to lift up and then draw that knee in, much like we did to hop into the tuck. We're using it to hop back into the tuck from this position. So shoulders on the cushion, right foot on the ground, right knee bent, left leg long. I'm going to lift and lower the left leg a couple times, and then when I'm ready, I lift the left leg up, bend that knee into the chest, and then I push off with that right leg. Here goes. Left leg extends, lifts, bends, and pushes. Now, just like that. The thing is, when you jump up and you bring both knees to the chest, hook your hands, pull in, and then come all the way back down. Whew. Now, there's a lot going on with this one. Is it necessary? No. Is it like fancy? Yes. Is it a little bit showy? It can be. I'm not trying to show this off. I want you to understand that there's a lot more to it than just being a fancy dancer, rolling back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So I'm going to show it one more time. Dare I say silently? Yeah, I'll try not to talk too much. And I just want you to look at how slow, how controlled, and how much I break down each position. So it's not like I'm just running in and trying to make it happen. I'm really trying to go through the steps. So I'll just name the steps out. Step 1, supported downward facing dog. Step 2, tucking knees to chest, floating gift pose. Step 3, left knee stays bent into the chest, right leg stays bent, but the knee lifts. Okay? Step 4, begin to lower onto the shoulder blades, onto the cushion. Left knee stays in the chest, right leg still stays open, but the right knee is bent. And then, I guess it's step 5 or 6 or a million, start dropping the tailbone, keeping the hands on the frame of the trainer until that right leg drops and the left leg follows. We've made it to the backdrop. Let's go do that walkover. Shoulders on the cushion, lift hips in line with knees and shoulders. Tuck shirt in if necessary. Hands come to the frame of the trainer. Right foot stays grounded, left leg extends. Get ready, as the right foot stays grounded, the left leg lifts to prepare, lowers, lifts, draws into the chest as the right leg pushes off the ground, back into the tuck. From the tuck, don't celebrate just yet. Lower those feet, lower those knees, lower that tailbone, raise those shoulders, raise the gaze, inhale long, exhale deep. Backdrop walkover. I think we did a pretty good job. I'm very proud of you guys. Thank you so much. So, I think we're going to open up the lines to some questions. Now, we had some people already wrote in some questions before, so I'm going to start with that. There's a good chance that your question will be answered, has been answered, or has not been answered. So let's answer some questions, and maybe all the questions will be answered, and then we can go out for a drink afterwards. It'll be fun. So coming in from Instagram, Sandra asked, can anyone start doing this regarding the shape that they're in? So I'm assuming
the question is, can anyone do this? Well, Sandra, I believe most people can do this. You know, obviously there are certain things that you can't, like certain physical ailments that might stop you from doing it. It's not a question is, can they do it? It's a question of how they do it or should they do it. Now, you don't need much strength to use the trainer for just as a support tool. You don't need much flexibility. In fact, it's there to build both strength and flexibility. Here's the crazy part, Sandra. You don't even have to do inversions. The FeetUp Trainer, and it might be one of the next Q&As that we do, can be used as a support for a lot of different yoga poses, whether you're in a lunge, whether you're in a standing pose. Heck, one of my favorite things to do, just a nice Paschimottanasana with a nice little forward fold. This feels spectacular. So if you can do gentle yoga, if you can do chair yoga, if you can move, you can use the FeetUp Trainer. Now, when it comes to inversions, if you had trouble doing inversions before, this will help you. If you couldn't do inversions before for any reason that your doctor said you shouldn't do inversions, you have glaucoma, you have these things, you have the contraindication, this won't change that, but it might take away some of the things that cause the issues when you're doing your inversion on the ground. So while we can't tell you if it's right or wrong, what we can say is there's so much more than having to do an inversion with the FeetUp Trainer that everyone can use this for something. It's just a question of finding out the best fit of what that thing should be for the person who's using it, no matter what level, style of movement they have, no matter how old, no matter how young. It's all good. We'll find something that works for you. I hope I got that. I hope I answered that. Okay, I got another question coming in from Instagram. I don't have a name. It's okay. What is the safest technique to use to get into a FeetUp inversion if you've never done a headstand or a handstand? Well, guess what, nameless person from Instagram? If you, after this is done, watch the intro to this video, which you may or may not have done already, I showed you. Safest way. You want to know the safest way to get up to an inversion? Oh, the FeetUp inversion? Time. The safest way is let time get you up there. As you saw, I started in this, when it comes to the safest way to get into an inversion with the leg straight up, start small. Start with the shoulders on the cushions, you got your child's pose. Then you have your supported downward facing dog. Then you have that single leg lifted tuck. Then you have the hopping the knees to the chest into the gift pose. And then if it feels okay, and only if it feels okay, do you start lifting the leg straight up towards the ceiling. I would say, in my honest and humble opinion, that is going to be the best way to get the full open inversion without feeling that it's out of your control, that you have 100% control over every movement that you make. Okay, I hope that answered your question. Okay, Instagram, another question, no name, it's okay, I get it, name withheld. What muscles are trained during an inversion? Well, the biggest muscle that's trained during the inversion, Mr. Instagram or Mrs. Instagram, is your mind. Bam! Now, well, yes, this is true. Your mind has to be strong for an inversion, at least somewhat, because you have to be able to stay focused. But when it comes to actual muscle groups, okay, well, it depends on the inversion. Generally speaking, without the trainer, if you're doing a handstand, there's a lot of arm. If you're doing a shoulder stand or a headstand, there's a lot of upper body. If you're doing legs up the wall, it doesn't require too much muscle, but it does require a little bit internal core, right? Specifically with the FeetUp Trainer, when you say an inversion, I'm going to assume you mean a feet off the ground inversion. And if that's the case, the major muscle groups that you'll be working, first and foremost, are going to be your core. And not just that space between your ribs and your hips in the front. It's like the beach muscles, so to speak. We're talking about the core, everything between your hips and your ribs from front, side, and back. Your deep muscles. This is what's going to help you have control for both breath and movement. It's going to be your stability muscles, your stabilizer muscles. On top of that, you're going to feel there will be a need and a building of the muscles up and down the spine, the erector spinae, like the whole muscle group that runs from the sacrum to the top of the shoulders. Now, there will be some strength activated when you have your hands on the frame of the trainer, keeping the elbow over the wrist, so there's the elbows hugging in. While it's not supposed to be about making a muscle, it's simply about finding that hugging the midline. So there is muscular engagement, there is tone, that while it's not like lifting weights, it's still lifting weight. It's keeping weight lifted. So things that I would say you can work less of when you're in inversion, try to relax the neck. This is the one set of muscles that you shouldn't have to use too much. Like, of course, it's important to stay safe and stay connected, but over time when you invert and you're in the inversion, you might be able to start relaxing. And you can see it going from your shoulders to the ears, relaxing, and you feel like the collarbones begin to open, the shoulders begin to open. Even there's more space for the back and the core to do its thing. That's where you really start to be able to use the strength of the mind to differentiate between the muscles that are needed and the muscles that you think you need. And there's a big difference to that. The muscles that you do need to stay balanced and up, and the muscles that you think you need that you've been activating but you haven't actually really required. And that's where this gets interesting is, in addition to building strength, it's also going to help you build a need to not be reliant on strength. Now, if that doesn't answer your question with another question and a little bit of a dare, I dare you to go back to your trainer and try to do a little bit less and get a little bit more. Let's see how it goes. Question from Instagram, Harry. Hi, Harry. Or Hari, I don't know. It's the world, crazy place. Any backbend exercises? Oh, love that one. Yes, there's so many great backbend exercises. I'm going to show you my favorite one. And I kind of already showed you already when I did the walkover and I was over there, that nice supported backbend. So we have a bunch of online resources, and we're going to have a lot more coming out. So I strongly encourage everyone who's watching to go to the blog, feetup.com/blog, or just go to the blog. Go to feetup.com and then click on blog. We have posts, we got articles, we got some videos, we got a whole host of cool things that you should totally check out, including backbend exercises. But my favorite one, it's my faves. Here it comes. Now, to get into it, you might start by sitting on the frame of the trainer, hands on the side of the trainer, just to help get yourself down. You could drop your tailbone so it's not touching the ground, but for a nice easy backbend, get your tailbone on the ground, shoulders on the cushion. Now, sometimes you might have to adjust the trainer towards you so the trainer doesn't slide back. And then as you kind of hold on to the frame of the trainer, you get the shoulder blades just above, or the cushion just below the line of the shoulder blades, knees bent, feet flat on the ground, hands to your own knees, push the hands into the knees to lift the hips. And then shoulders, hips, and knees in the same line. Knees about hip distance apart, not splaying out, not falling in unless you feel like you need to for your lower back. And then from here, most people who just want to have a chill time, interlace your fingers behind your head. The wrist can hang on the frame of the trainer. You chilling. This, you're going to feel your glutes activate, your thighs activate, navel's drawing in. You can find some lengthening in the lower back. But you want to go deeper in your back bend, Harry or Hari, whatever the name is. Here's the deal. Hands reach over to the frame of the trainer. Let the head start to lift lower down. And then you can adjust by walking the feet a bit closer in. If you have a deeper back bend, you can pull up on the frame of the trainer to lift and extend into a deeper back bend, into a wheel. The elbows hug in, the navel draws in. Have more space, Hari or Harry, you can start lifting your heels and really extending into it. Now, I'm not super warm for a deep back bend, so I'm not going to go throwing my whole body into it, but I can assure you, as that is an inversion, because my head was below my heart, when you come out slow, you should appreciate it. Now, I can assure you, that's just one variation for back bending. There's a lot of really cool things you can do because of the shape of the trainer, and I encourage you to start with that and play with it, see how it goes. Next question. Anna from Germany. How does this help your back? That's a great question. Okay. So, much like I earlier said, it's not about the muscles that you use, but it's about the muscles you might not have to use. When we carry a lot of tension in our bodies, when we put a lot of stress in our bodies, specifically, Anna, I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of time doing this, right? So like my shoulders get all jacked up and I'm starting diving into my work. So what's really nice about the trainer for back bending or back support exercises is that it gives you an opportunity to kind of go into the spot that you need most and then really breathe into it and release. So before, when I showed you this back bend and I lifted up, see where the cushion of the trainer is supporting the shoulder blades, but even here as I lift the hips, I'm taking my back away from it. Now, by the same token, the kind of weight that I drop back in here, I can hang out and I can actually, with my hands supported behind my head, I can give myself a nice little back massage or a little back release. Now, of course, if you have certain injuries in your back that you don't want pressure directly on your back, I'd hold off. But what you can do is that you can really you can find different exercises, or you find your favorite exercise that you normally do with yoga, and then do it with the support of the trainer. And you might be surprised that with being able to lean a bit of weight in, you do a lot less work, and as that less work that you're doing, you're engaging less, but you're still going deeper into your practice. I encourage you, if you want more exercises like that, is to just write us a message. You can write me a message, Daniel@feetup.com. And Anna, I will do my best to give you something to work with, especially if I know more what you're working on. That goes for everybody. I know I just gave my email on the internet, but it's already out there anyway. Ask me a question that way. I'm happy to help. Next question from YouTube. Can you show how to safely from bridge, backbend, pose? YouTube. The walk. Yeah, so rewind like 15 minutes video. I show it to you. I gave you a tutorial. However, because I like to do it spot, I'm just going to go. I can show you. Here it comes. Now, very similar to where you just were. For those of you who are like, he's doing it again, he must really like it. I do. It's fun. And at the same time, it's a good challenge, and it's not as hard as it looks. Hands to the frames. Shoulders supported by cushion. Hips in line with knees and shoulders. Left knee to chest for me. Maybe right knee to chest for you. We don't know. Extending left leg. Lower foot to ground. As I lift the leg, I'm drawing the knee into the chest, and then I'm drawing the grounded foot into the chest as well. Ready? Whew. Boom. That one was fun. You might have also noticed on this one, my timing was a little bit off, and this front foot lifted up a bit, but when weight came back down, it comes down. So just be mindful. Try to take the momentum out of it and do more control core activation. Hope that answered your question, YouTube. Whew. Instagram is a good one. What are the best core and abdominal exercises? I find the best core and abdominal ones the ones you don't have to do. Okay, so everything is a core workout when you go slowly. So to me, and this is not the cheap answer, this is the real, sorry to tell you, the real answer is you want core exercises, move slower. Use the frame, use the trainer to be more supportive so that when you're stepping, let's say from a downward facing dog into a lunge, oh, it's so much core. I'm using the lift of my core to create space. Yes, I have flexibility. Yes, it might be different for you. So maybe it's not a full step. Maybe it's just this one. Boom. Maybe it's just this one. Boom. Maybe it's when you're opening up from the warrior two, you're not doing this, right? But you're able to really ground down. My core is active the whole time. Wow. Now, that is like, okay, cool. Everything's slow, core workout. But really though, what's the core exercises that you like to do? Let's look at a couple, shall we? Okay, so Navasana, you got a couple options. Option number one, you can actually sit on the cushion as it is. You'll get the flat cushion forward. Tailbone can kind of hang into the U, or the tailbone can be on the cushion itself. You might find this to be really nice because either you hold on to the frame of the trainer, or you're able to kind of lean with the hands on the knees, or maybe even pushing down to the front to draw the knees into the chest. Now here, simply lifting the knees off the ground, it's a good deep core activation. So you can do these little knee lifts, right? Oh, it's good. You can do one at a time, right? Pretty good. And I'm not trying to do reps. I'm listening to my body. I'm engaging the muscles that move the bones. I'm not lifting my knee. I'm trying to see what muscles I can use in my small core area to lift these legs up. Want more effort? Legs long. You can just do little lifts like that. Want more effort? Do one leg at a time. Want more effort? Jump 3 feet up into the air and just stay there. It's a lot of work, and you'll work very hard with your core. Other core exercises, very possible that you could do plank, knee in, plank, knee in, plank, knee in, lower and lift. These are nice exercises. You can be so bold as to do supported crunches like this with the elbows out the side. lifting one thing at a time. The nice thing about having the feet on the trainer is that they don't flop out to the side. It actually gives you a little bit of feedback as you're going elbow to knee, side, side. So basically, what are your favorite core exercises? Asker of the question, because I bet you can figure out how to do it with the trainer, with a lot of fun, with a lot more support, and if anything, it'll make it more interesting. I just got the 5-minute warning, but we'll see how much more we get. Instagram, is it good only for the core or as well as the lower body parts? I think it's pretty great for the lower body parts. And if you're talking about leg strengthening or leg flexibility, then we nailed it. Specifically, I showed it earlier, those lunges that you can work on, having the support of the trainer below you really allows you to kind of get more into your alignment, being able to square the hips off more without putting the weight into like rounding the spine, but you take your torso out of it. Whenever you have the support of the hands on the trainer, that you don't have to worry about, is my body in alignment? That you can really bring the awareness into hugging the midline, into finding a good stack of the knee over the heel to create a stronger arch, to really extend into that back leg, and to have a solid foundation. You can't see it from this one, but maybe here. I'm actually using my calf against the cushion of the trainer, against the frame, not only have the front of the cushion help me line my pelvis up or square my right hip forward, but at the same time, I'm able to not let the knee wiggle because I have a foundation that allows me to really ground down into my poses. You can do the same. Gotta breathe, don't forget to do it. Next question, Facebook. Do I need to have someone with me to spot me all the time when I'm using it? And if so, for how long? Well, I don't think you do. Although if you really want to have someone there, you should. And really how long? As long as they can be there paying attention and be like present. When it comes to doing inversions, unless you're needing help getting up into the inversion, which we have ways of that if you don't have a partner, putting the trainer against the wall in the beginning is just a really great way of not having to have someone there for you. You get to be there for you. The wall will be your partner. And you know for a fact the wall will always be there for you because it holds the ceiling up and it's where you hang your pictures. Make sure you pick a part of the wall that isn't a door. Or you pick a part of the wall that can be there as a good partner for you. But honestly, you don't need to have someone there if you are comfortable with using the wall. But at the same time, if you want to have someone there, just see how long they'll stick around and then have them be there for you. I think that's fair. I need bigger text. Anyway, the next question is coming up. Sam, should I use the strength in my arms on the horizontal wooden frame to do anything on the trainer? I bet you do. Sam, I think that's a great question, and I think hand position is a very valuable and vital part of finding a comfortable shoulder position so that you can find a good alignment. So let's just talk about hand positions really quick, Sam, before I move on. So using the hands on the frame when you're trying to mount in is so helpful. And because if on the ground, you're pushing the ground away, but you don't want to push the ground away. You want to let your weight go to the ground. So keeping your hands on the frame, you can push through the frame to help lift yourself up. So even when you're hopping up, push through the frame, boom. Now, using the hands on the frame, if you feel like you're going back, fingers are down, you can draw it back in. You're using the hands to help you stay up, right? If the elbows start going wide, your shoulders start slouching, your back starts to drop. So you really keep the elbows hugged in, which means the elbow over the wrist, over the hand. Now you can see my fingers are wrapping around, my thumb's pointing towards the cushion. Now some people might find it's more comfortable to take the hand to the front of the frame. Even then, it might look like I'm holding less, but I'm just hugging inward towards my face. Some people even grab the crossbar. Some people take their hands to the outside. Depends on the length of your arms, depends on the length of your shoulder and your torso. It really depends on just a lot of different things. But the one thing you don't want to have to guess at is, should I use your hands at all? Yes, you should absolutely use your hands. It's an amazing part in the beginning for more support, and then over time, what's going to happen is you might use the hands less, but still be able to do the same thing with the support of the core. I hope that helps. Okay, Valentina, is it dangerous for people who are overweight and have cervical problems? Okay, Two things. One, cervical spine, it's the neck, it's the upper spine. You got your lumbar, you have your thoracic, you have your cervical. Is it dangerous for people who are overweight? It's a hard thing to say because that's a pretty large. The overweight is something that if you're worried about weight, holding up weight on this, no, we can hold a lot of weight on this. This is designed to hold a heavy amount of weight. We showed a picture earlier. We don't need to show it again, but we did show a picture earlier of 3 people sitting on a couch balanced on just one of these things. So don't worry about the weight. As far as capability, I think this is a great opportunity to start for if your body type doesn't allow you to have the mobility that you want, having the FeetUp Trainer is a great seat for doing yoga. It's a great support for getting into your practice, into certain postures that might be hard because you just have a lot more mass that you're working with. As far as doing inversions, that's something that you need to decide. If your body's not ready for it, without the trainer, the trainer's not going to make it any more ready for it, but this can be a great tool for you to get ready to do inversions when it is time. As far as cervical issues are concerned, let's talk quickly, not even quickly, let's be strong about that, very clear about that. Because your shoulders are on the cushion, your cervical spine, the thing that attaches your head to your torso, is down here. There's no pressure on the cervical spine from the head on the ground. So technically, there should be no issue for the cervical spine. However, if you're up there and you turn your head, and that's where you normally have your cervical issues, it's not going to make it any different turning your head when you're normal versus upside down. So I encourage you, whatever range of motion you normally have while not inverted, I would stick with that in the beginning. And while you're inverted, don't think it's a magic silver bullet that's going to solve all the neck problems. It's just going to give you an opportunity to be a bit more mobile and have a little bit less weight on the neck. So let gravity do its thing as opposed to anything else. Now, again, I am not a doctor. We are not doctors. We are just enthusiasts. We want you to have the best practice possible. If you have a question that you really want to get a good answer for, talk to your healthcare professional on that one. We'll definitely support as best we can, but ultimately it comes down to you have to decide what's right for you. And we want to support that. So listen, let us know how we can. Let us know how we can be part of your journey. Lydia, when can I start after childbirth? This is a great question. I don't know the answer because every childbirth is different. Some women practice yoga up until the morning they have a child. Some people have a regular practice, they become pregnant and they don't practice until they have the child. And then afterwards, it takes time. So it depends on the childbirth. It really depends on how comfortable you are feeling. And if you're talking about inversions, I would wait, depending on the type of childbirth or the type of practice that you had prior to childbirth, I would wait doing anything until you get the cleared for landing or cleared for takeoff from your doctor. Because if you had a C-section, you had some surgery. If you had a if you had a labor like me, you could do it 20 minutes after you have a child. If you had a labor like my brother, it's going to take about 20 to 30 years to do an inversion. I don't know. It's a little joke with my brother. Love you, Jason. Aside from that, honestly, it really comes down to the individual. My recommendation is that you just listen to your body and you listen to someone who was there with you during the childbirth. It's a good 2-point system, 2-point verification. Next question. Does the FeetUp help building strength for regular handstand? Awesome question. It does, but not how you think, Facebook user. When we're doing handstands, there's a lot of pushing the ground away. There's a lot of depending. If you are a yogi, you're broadening the collarbones. If you're an acrobat, you're pushing the ground away. You're hugging the shoulders up. Regardless, there's a lot of this. Now, when we're using the FeetUp, our shoulders have a lot more space. In fact, we're not raising our arms at all. We're letting our arms lower, and that allows us to broaden to our collarbones. So instead of thinking about the strength that you're going to build in your shoulders for this, doing inversions on the FeetUp Trainer, doing leg variations, doing mounts and dismounts slowly, strongly, easily, up and down, building the strength in your core, building the awareness of movement and balance in your body, these are the qualities of your practice that will get stronger when you use the FeetUp that will 100% help your handstand practice. However, probably won't help you build arm strength in the way that you would normally practice a handstand. So I think this is a great opportunity to have something in addition to that that will help you fine-tune your body awareness, control, and proprioceptive acuity once you get better at actually holding your weight off the ground with your arms. Next question. I'm going to keep going until someone says stop. So stop me when you guys want. But you guys at home, I'll do my best. Next question. I have a headache when my feet are up too long. What can I do? Don't put your feet up so long. That's a good start because honestly, I get carried away. I get really, really excited. And then after this class, I'm going to go home and I'm just going to sit on the couch and I'm not going to do anything because this is a lot of effort and I'm just doing inversions and talking. Now, when you are figuring out what's right for you, if you have a headache after doing inversions, I would say stop doing inversion for the rest of the day. I would say start practicing that slow exit that I showed earlier in the video. And if you are just hearing this now and you didn't see it, go to the beginning of the video when you can and watch my technique for coming up slowly with the head being last. Breathe more evenly, be up less, and rest in between inversions. Of course, if something is hurting you or something is painful, don't do the thing anymore until you get a handle on what you're doing. Do half of the thing or step it back and do the thing before the thing. This is how progressions work. This is how you build up a strength and awareness to practice more safely for the rest of your life, not just for the next 5 minutes. Think about that. Jenny, how can I create a flow for everyone? It's a great question, Jenny. I, as a yoga teacher and as a movement instructor, I don't know. If the only tool you have is a hammer, then everything becomes a nail. And guess what? It's really hard to build a house for a lot of people with just hammer and nails because you need more dynamic tools in your kit. So a flow for everyone, there are certain sequences that everyone can practice. Spinal mobility, cat-cow, downward facing dog, tabletop, child's pose, sun salutations. I think these are appropriate for most practitioners. But to create a flow that pleases everyone, Jenny, if you do years from now find this out, we'll probably all know because you're going to be like the most popular yoga teacher in the world. Opinions, everyone's got them. But the thing is, just teach from your heart. Teach what works for you. People will hear that. And if they don't like it, that's their own thing. They'll find it. But the people who do will really appreciate it. So I think when it comes to trying to please everyone, the person you should please is yourself by doing the job that you think you should do and by helping the people that you can. I hope that supports you. But start with the small sequences, add them together, and if people like it, they tell you. If they don't like it, they'll tell you. I know. This is how it works. Okay, this is going to be the last question. And we had a couple questions like it, and I think it's really important to just end on this one because it's an important question. Amazon has something similar. Why should I buy this one? Well, I'll speak from a personal perspective because I have used the other ones. When it comes to doing something that you really have to trust the tool, when you really have to believe in the safety and the security and all the experience that's gone into it, I would never put my shoulders, I would never tell anyone to put their body into a product that they did not know that was safe. We have put years into developing this. And while it might look like others, it is not like others. The wood, FSC certified wood, we have recycled, this is great wood. We have great wood here. The process, handmade. This is not like a machine, like we use machines to make it, but there are dozens of people who touch each one of these and they make while we make them. I've made some. It's nuts. The cushions, everything's been tested. It's good foam. When you have a nice solid foam cushion, you feel the difference than a not great cushion. I'm not trying to talk ill of the other ones, but I don't have to. I can assure you that if you want to save some money, you can have a thing that looks like this. But if you want value, if you want customer service that cares, if you want instruction, if you want constant update, if you want to connect with a community of people around the world, which if you look at who's probably like logging into this thing, we've been doing this for 10 years all around the world. There's just so many people who trust in the FeetUp brand, including ourselves, that sure, we can't tell you what you should do, but we can encourage you to make a wise choice and invest in the practice. For the cost of a good pair of shoes, you will have something that will last you a lifetime of wellness, a lifetime of happiness, a lifetime of movement that not just is, it will grow with you. As your practice change, it changes. It's not gonna be something that falls apart. It's not gonna be something that you touch and you're like, ugh, it's just like the wood doesn't feel good. It's quality, it's quality you can feel, it's trust that you can experience. And it's just a community that will constantly be there for you. That's the answer. We're just the best ever. I can assure you that. Well, this was a lot of fun. I had a great time. I hope you guys got some chances to do some inversions. To those of you on Instagram, I didn't look at you too much, but you were there with me my whole time. One of these microphones is just for you. Facebook and YouTube, awesome. We're gonna do our best to keep coming at you with some interesting material all the time. If your question didn't get answered, it doesn't mean because we didn't want to. It simply means we didn't have enough time. We'll do this again. Keep your questions coming. Please, here's some announcements. Go to feetup.com. Go to the trainings section at the top. feetup.com/page/trainings. We have some teacher trainings coming up. I'll be across the states. Got one in Texas in about a month, just outside of Houston. We got one in the Bay Area, end of April. Beginning of May, just outside of DC. In June, Kansas City, baby. We're gonna be in all these places. In fact, I'm gonna be in all these places. We have 3-day workshops. They are 30-hour Yoga Alliance credit hour certified trainings that you can come and you will learn not just how to be a student, but how to be a teacher of students. You will learn how to teach yourself, how to teach others, how to do amazing things with the FeetUp Trainer. Of course, I will be there as best I can for all of you every step of the way. So if you have any questions, just reach out to us. We'll do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you for your time. My name is Daniel Scott. This is the FeetUp Trainer, and we wish you a very happy Saturday.